Hi class, hope all of you are doing well. I told you that I will be posting a video today, and then I didn't want to overwhelm you the first day. I kind of gave you a little bit of a review of the syllabus, and I saw that some of you've already gone on Go React and you've posted an introduction. So hi to all of you. Again, I just going to start talking about our first few chapters that you hopefully get a chance to read. So we were had asked you to read these chapters. Just looking at the syllabus here, and I'm just going to that and to your assigned work. And here we are. You were supposed to read chapters 1, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So just wanted to just wanted to know, hope it went well. The book, as I mentioned, is a free online book, and it's on the syllabus, so you can just cut, copy, paste it, and you can get access to the book. And today I won't go through all the chapters in details, but I think I'll give you enough to kind of whet your appetite for knowing more about public speaking and rhetoric and all of that. So I'm just going to start the class, a little bit of a little personal information that I wanted to share with you, because that is, it kind of defines what will happen in the next few weeks. I'm glad that I'm able to, do this video recording today. I actually had to cancel my morning classes, and I had one evening class. I also teach at Benedictine University, and I had to cancel that class. As it happens, I have been diagnosed with COVID-19, though I'm fully vaccinated, yet vaccination breakthroughs are happening, and I'm at home. Haven't been feeling well for the past few days, and I got tested yesterday, and it came out to be positive. So I wasn't sure whether I'll even be able to do this recording. I actually I feel okay now to do this recording. So so I hopefully I'll be able to, I nobody has tried to get in touch with me, I think, and you were not supposed to. I mean, I gave you my information, but if you needed to get in touch, you could have, but I didn't see anybody, but I'm still responding to phone calls and texts. I'm not checking my emails on a regular basis, but phone calls and texts I am. And hopefully by next week, today's day 3 or day 4. So hopefully by next week, I'll be functional, much more functional. So yes, I did wanted to share this with you, because I don't know, with this, you don't know how it progresses, but it seems to be a little mild right now. So yeah, that's that. So here we are, class. I will be talking to you about a few things, and very crucial things that you need to know about rhetoric. So if you ever, ask someone, all right, or you ask your friend, your colleague, or you ask yourself what rhetoric is, some of you may come up with this answer at, that rhetoric is maybe have it's something that you've heard in your English class. Or if I ask you, what kind of connotation do you have? Like, do you have a positive feeling about the word, or do you have a negative feeling? Some people have, when I've asked students, some people have told me that they have a negative connotation about rhetoric. When I say rhetoric, is RHETORIC. So some people have a negative feeling about that. The reason is most people think about rhetoric as a play on words, as a clever choice of words to kind of manipulate somebody, to make them buy something, to make them buy an idea. And when there's no honesty in it, people really don't mean what they say, and it's just used as a strategy to influence people. So that's not how the word was conceived. All right. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about. When you think about the history, which your chapters, in the beginning, it discusses about the history of rhetoric. That's not how it started. So I actually have the book, and I wanted to share with you. I'm trying to make it as our class look as close to a face-to-face classroom as possible. So I have the book for you. So this is the book. This is the book. And this book has been written by Aristotle. This is all you need to know about public speaking and speech communication. I would say public speaking, all right? So all the textbooks, all the textbooks, all the Toastmasters courses, all the crash courses that you see on public speaking and speech, all comes from this book. This is like the core book, okay? So this is how Aristotle conceived and thought about rhetoric. So initially, long back in Greece, when they started thinking about rhetoric, it didn't have a negative connotation. It was it appeared very closely with another concept, which was dialectic. Okay, rhetoric and dialectic was very closely placed, and later on, the meaning of rhetoric, dialectic happens when you're in a conversation. It's more of a question answer form. So, and the meaning evolves through a question and answer. Rhetoric is it's a theory of persuasion. All right. So when this happened, just like right now, the historical moment that we are in, people usually have a negative connotation about rhetoric, as I just mentioned to you. And even years back, when it was first conceived, it was conceived very innocently. It had a really nice meaning that a public speaker should use rhetoric to influence and to have a sense of ethics and influence people's behavior through a strong sense of ethics and a sense of a goodwill for the community, okay? But later on, we see that there were a group of people who were called the sophists, who felt that you took away the honesty, the ethics part in rhetoric, and they said that anybody could be a good speaker. Anybody could be a good speaker if you give me money, I can convince. They made it very mercenary, right? If you give me money, I will be able to convince anyone with an idea that you want them to have, right? So it doesn't matter whether the idea is ethical or non-ethical. You give me the money, and I have the gift of words, and I will be able to influence anyone. So that's how the sophists kind of corrupted the meaning of rhetoric. Then Aristotle said that no, that's not how we should be looking at rhetoric, and rhetoric needs to be a theory of persuasion, a way to persuade the masses. Okay, so it needs to be done ethically, and that's where he said that anyone could be a public speaker. To deliver a speech, you need to have three components. You need to have ethos, you need to have logos, and you need to have pathos. And I actually came up with two more, which he also says in this book. But most of the textbooks, or most of maybe if any online search that you do on the components of rhetoric, will only talk about ethos, logos, pathos. I added two more, which has been mentioned, and I felt that it is important for you to look at those two components too. So apart from ethos, logos, pathos, I've also added telos and kairos. Okay, and I'm going to talk to you about what this is all about. So you'll see my slides on. I'm not doing a share. I'm not sharing it. I could, but I'm not. I just want the focus to be here. So I want you all to learn the concept instead of looking at the slides, which you can always do later on. So you'll see that when he says rhetoric, when he talks, he says that anybody can be a good public speaker if you have ethos, logos, pathos, kairos, and telos. And when he says ethos, I'm right now, you may be thinking, what is ethos? Well, ethos, the closest word that you can think about that matches or seems to be a root word for ethos is ethics, right? So ethos, he says that in order to be a good speaker, you need to have a sense of ethics, which something which the sophists were taking it away, right? They weren't thinking about the ethics part of it. Now, when we think in the contemporary world, when we say that, when we hear a politician, we say, hey, that's just rhetoric. We say that because we felt that's not heartfelt. There is a little bit of manipulation there. There's a little bit of strategy going on to kind of make us buy the idea, or make us buy the product, or the whole make us win, make us buy his campaign or her campaign, right? So so this is what Aristotle said, that in order to be a good speaker, you need to have a sense of ethics. The ethics has to be very personal to you in the private self, private realm. It has to be very personal to you, and it has to be also ethical when you're thinking about the good of the larger people, who's your audience, the public good, right? So it has to be both ways. You yourself have to be a very ethical person, and you have to also think about the good of the community. And then in the world of Aristotle, it was the polis, right? It was the state, it was the polis, right? The public, okay? And you have to think about their good too. So that's how you become a good public speaker. So ethics and ethos, there's so much going on with that, and we can talk so much about it. Ethos also means the credibility of a speaker. So if he has high ethics, well, that makes him or her believable to us, because we want to believe somebody who has a good sense of ethics, not only for himself, but also thinks about getting good or bringing good to the community. So we will be more, that person is going to be more credible for us, right? The second thing is credibility also happens when we say the speaker is high in ethos. Well, sometimes it happens because the speaker is very knowledgeable in a certain area. Some of the TED Talks that you observe, that you watch, some of them are come with a lot of knowledge. They are technical experts in the area that they are talking about. Some of them, they talk about sleep deprivation, and they've written papers. They are sometimes heading some hospitals with who do sleep studies, and who are in this program. So you'll see that some of them are technical experts in the area. So when we hear things from them about about, like, say, a topic like sleep deprivation, it comes from a person who's so highly qualified in that area that we will believe them. So that's also how credibility happens. But sometimes it's interesting to see how many layers go into it. So layers go into ethos. The reason is that sometimes we give them credibility because of their knowledge. And sometimes some speakers, they're not PhDs, or they don't have expertise in the area that they're talking about, but yet we believe them. All right, how does that happen? And that's what makes it very interesting for me, because sometimes I ask myself, what makes a person so charismatic, so believable? And that's when I think that that your what makes you believable is how well you can relate to the audience. You'll see that there are some very great storytellers, and though they don't have technical expertise, they're not big names in the industry, or they have not led movements or organized movements, yet we believe them. It is because of the stories that they talk about. We find, as an audience, we see that we are part of their story, and we connect with them, we identify with them, and that makes them believable. So that's how ethos happens. It's very textured. It has different layers to it, and it's just amazing. I think that's one of the most amazing parts of component of rhetoric. The second one is logos, and there's so much. I mean, if you see this book, there's the second chapter. It's just book one. I'm looking at so many. Think book two. One second here, book one, and book one talks about it, and book one specifically talks about logos, and there's like this umpteen number of things that you can know about logos. Logos, again, very, very close to that word is logic. Is a speaker needs to have a sound sense of logic, because if you don't have logic, then you're not making sense, and people are not going to uh, believe you. All right. So it has to be logical, and there's so many different ways of using logic uh, in your speech, and I really cannot go through all of them. There's those of you who've taken philosophy classes, there's inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning. There's so many others. Some, I think, one of the most, and the one that I want to talk about is, and I feel that is really powerful amongst a lot of other examples of logic. I think that what Aristotle talks about is logos, which means the word. All right, logos means how do you use the word, and he says that, of course, in his time, he would say that there was no political correctness at that time. He would say that man is a storytelling animal. Man is a storytelling animal, and human beings are storytelling animals, and we love to listen to stories, and we respond to stories. So if you use the kind of logic that should use in a speech, is have a great story. All right, because if you have a great storytelling method, you will make sense. You will be able to move the audience into the direction that you want to. So that's what he says, that have a great story. So this is what I find this fascinating. The reason is, sometimes I have students tell me that, how do I use a story when I'm doing a technical presentation? And I said it doesn't matter whether you're doing a science presentation, a very technical, or some architectural presentation that you're doing. It's always the story. You got to always think about it in terms of a story. Like, you need to have some characters there. You need to have a plot. You need to move towards a plot. There should be some kind of a conflict there. There should be some kind of resolution there. And that's how storytelling is done. And the so what is also covered very well in a story. So that's what I always tell you, that, what's your story? The story doesn't make sense. That's one of my the comments that I usually, you'll see that a lot of my comments will be, I think the story was great. I think your story really appealed to me. So you got to have a storytelling method of logic to influence to persuade the masses, or to persuade the audience. Okay. And the third one is pathos. If you don't have passion, then you don't have a speech. You need to have passion. You need to show anger. You need to show sorrow. You need to show happiness. You need to show, and some of these are beyond culture, right? So I think some of the feelings are, it doesn't matter which culture you're from. Those are, happiness, sadness, surprise, dismay. All of them are kind of universal, right? So you got to show that. And if you show that in your speech, the audience is also going to respond to you. So how do you show that? You show that, of course, through your word choice. All right. But typically what people think, that you show passion through your vocal modulation, which is true. That the way you make your voice soft, you make your voice sound louder, you take a pause. This is what we call as paralanguage. And a lot of passion, you can show it through the way you use not language, not words, but paralanguage. Okay, the way you have a silent pause, the way you stress certain things, the way your voice kind of modulates. All right, so you show passion through that. But you can also show passion through the words that you have chosen. That's also another strategy. So it's, the words, the poetics in your speech can show passion. All right. So you can see, is one of the classic speeches that we can all remember is Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, right? So passionate. It was so passionate because we remember it not only through his the way he's modulated his voice, but also through the words that he've used. So that makes the passion. Okay, so that was it. Ethos, logos, pathos. I have also put kairos. Kairos means timing. timing. What do you think in a speech? Why is timing important? Maybe you're asking yourself. So timing is important because you are talking about a topic which is which has relevance today, all right, and which needs to be, you need to deliberate, you need to think about it today. So you choose something where a decision needs to be made, or you need to talk about that topic because you need the topic to be heard, right? So that's why kairos is important, the perfect timing, the perfect sense of timing. So the speaker, the onus is on the speaker to choose a topic that that needs to be discussed then and now. So the timing of the speech topic, the timing of the speech topic is important. And then the final one, which is telos. And I think that's also very fascinating. If you think about telos is always going to be the purpose. What is the purpose for your speech? And as a writer, as a speech writer, you've also always going to think about, not only for yourself, you're going to think about the private, which is yourself, but you're also going to think about the public, which is others, right? So why is it that you want to talk about this topic? Of course, you've got to tell yourself that this is why, because I feel this way. But then it has to also be related to the public, because the public needs to know, because it's good for them. It's good for them to know this. So that's the telos, the purpose. And the purpose is always towards a good. A good. Good could be for you, and the good has to be also for the larger audience of the community. Again, telos is something that keeps moving, because what seems to be good today may not look good 20 years from now, because you can see what was permissible, what we think, the different kinds of isms that we now feel shocked that how did people even think that way? Well, it was okay at that point, but now it is not. Similarly, there could be several things which we see as okay right now. In 20 years down the line, it may not be okay. So telos is always moving. Okay, so that's what it is, rhetoric. And these are the 5 things that you need to know. And what I'm going to do right now, I will play a little clip. Okay, I will play a little clip from George W. Bush's speech right after 9/11. I'm going to play that clip for you. And based on what I said, based on your readings, I would like you to tell me what the logos is, what the ethos is, what pathos is, telos, and kairos. Tell me all the 5 components that you see in the speech. Okay, so again, I'm going to share it with you. 1 second. I'm trying to get into this. Okay.
Good evening.
All right, I got the link and I'm going to share it with you here.
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. The pictures of airplanes flying into buildings, fires burning, huge structures collapsing, have filled us with disbelief, terrible sadness, and a quiet, unyielding anger. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat, but they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining. Today, our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America, with the daring of our rescue workers, with the caring for strangers and neighbors who came to give blood and help in any way they could. Immediately following the first attack, I implemented our government's emergency response plans. Our military is powerful and it's prepared. Our emergency teams are working in New York City and Washington, D.C. to help with local rescue efforts. Our first priority is to get help to those who have been injured and to take every precaution to protect our citizens at home and around the world from further attacks. The functions of our government continue without interruption. Federal agencies in Washington, which had to be evacuated today, are reopening for essential personnel tonight and will be open for business tomorrow. Our financial institutions remain strong, and the American economy will be open for business as well. The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbor them. I appreciate so very much the members of Congress who have joined me in strongly condemning these attacks. And on behalf of the American people, I thank the many world leaders who have called to offer their condolences and assistance. America and our friends and allies join with all those who want peace and security in the world, and we stand together to win the war against terrorism. Tonight, I ask for your prayers for all those who grieve, for the children whose worlds have been shattered, for all whose sense of safety and security has been threatened. And I pray they will be comforted by a power greater than any of us, spoken through the ages in Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. This is a day when all Americans from every walk of life unite in our resolve for justice and peace. America has stood down enemies before, and we will do so this time. None of us will ever forget this day, yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world. Thank you. Good night, and God bless America.
Thank you. So this is what I want you to do. I would like you to do a little bit of a rhetorical analysis. And what you need to do, class, is I would like you to go to your Go React. I'm taking a moment to talk, right? I'm still a little woozy, I guess. 1 second here. I'm trying to. Second, maybe not. 1 second.
Good evening.
Second, stop share. I want to go to Go React. Actually, yeah. And to go to Go React, I need to, yep, that's it. Yeah. There I am on Go React, and I will go back here and week 1 speech analysis. This is what I want you to do. I would like you to do a speech analysis of the speech that you just watched with me which is George Bush's 4-minute 38 seconds address to the nation right after 9/11 happened. So you need to tell me, not like, this is the ethos, this is the logos, this is the pathos, this is the kainos, and this is the telos. Kind of like as if you're telling me a story. Have all of those ingredients. Tell me what the ethos is, and tell me. But it needs to not really sound as if you're, giving me all the pointers. It needs to sound like a little bit of a story. Tell me about all of the things, the 5 things that I've asked you, but in a form of a little bit of a story. Should be about how did you think his ethos was? What was the logos that was used? What kind of storytelling was done? Did he have villains there? Did he have heroes there? What kind of pathos did he arouse in the audience? Remember, it was right after 9/11. What do you think? Who's the immediate audience that he was talking to, the larger audience that he was talking to? The telos, what is the purpose of the speech for him personally and for the larger good of the people? Kairos, the timing of the speech. What do you think about that? So all of that. Okay, so you got to do a speech analysis and turn this into me by 11:59 p.m. on October 24th. All right, and then right after that on Monday, I will go to the second week. But this is what you need to do. I'm going a little light this week because it's your first week. I would like you to just get started. So again, you need to do a speech analysis and record it here. All right. Thank you, class. Have a great night. And I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to put up an announcement and send you an email. All right. Good night.